All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing good today. Oh man, I woke up at like 3 a.m. Couldn't go back to sleep. Finally went back to sleep at like 5. Now it's 6. But good morning. Ugh. All right, I'm here. Yeah. So today we got Michigan consumer sentiment data. Adobe is up 3 to 4% after beating Q3 earnings and raising guidance. Apparently, it's at 360s. It closed yesterday at 350. Supermicro Semiconductors is up to 46 after early shipments of its AI-oriented system powered by NVIDIA chips. Warner Bros. What is Warner Bros. Symbol? I always forget. WBD is up. There's rumors of a full acquisition bid by Paramount Skydance. Robinhood down. Wait, I don't think Robinhood is down. Or RH. Sorry. Restoration Hardware down after disappointing Q2 results and lowered guidance. We're in the blackout period ahead of the FOMC meeting next week. So the 17th is the FOMC meeting. It's going to be a big thing. Most people are expecting cuts now. Yesterday, CPI inflation showed up moderately higher month over month for headline inflation and flat for core inflation. So it was mostly flat and as expected, and that basically confirmed rate cuts next week. If we take a look at yields, hold on, let me exit out of some of this stuff. I got too many windows up here. Okay. Oh man, I'm sneezing. Ugh. I have these violent sneezes, man. I don't even know. Hold on. Let me Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I have these violent sneezes. I don't know what it is, but yeah, bond yields. If we take a look at them, they're currently sitting lower since yesterday's report, but a little bit higher this morning. We're at 4.036%. You can see the day started about here. And so we're slightly higher. We're mostly flat on the day, though. We're at 4.03%. We're hovering right around 4% for yields right now for 10-year treasuries. If we take a look at the CME watch tool, and hold on, let me put this up. Yeah, if we throw the CME watch tool up here, still about 93% chance of a 25 basis point cut. And so yesterday's kind of drove that. At 25. I've been saying at 25. Yeah, but I don't think they're going to change the tune. I don't think we have anything that would change the tune until next Fed meeting next week. And so I think we're going to do 25 basis points. I said this before CPI and PPI, and I'm saying it again. I think we're going to do 25 basis points. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. NASDAQ is also sitting around this 24,000 whole dollar level. We pull back to this, maybe I'll buy it, is what I'm thinking of. I don't know. It would be breaking under the 200 exponential, but if we pull back to that, I might consider buying it and maybe looking at on a longer term chart. It's close enough to, you know, yeah, we're gonna look at 24,000, see if we can buy that maybe. We got Michigan consumer sentiment today. MU is up also. I see somebody saying that that's true. MU's up on basically beneficial chip news, but MU's up a little bit more if you look at it. Up all the way to 156 this morning. And most of my positions are green today. Marvel is still green. Hims is up. So AI trade is getting a lot of attention. So like AI, by the way, AI has moved a lot in pre-market, and so that's what we see. See like Nvidia, although Nvidia is only up slightly, but it's up. AMD is up. Google's up. It's been ripping up for the last 2 hours or so. And so yeah, that's the market so far today. We'll see. And again, later we got Michigan consumer sentiment. Let me do a poll here. How much does the FOMC cut next week? All right, there's the poll. The poll is now live. Let me know what you guys think. What's up, Sam? 4:19 in the morning in Western Canada. Hey, I appreciate you getting up early. Yeah, like my problem is that I will get up. My problem is I'll fall asleep at like 9 p.m. and then I wake up to go to the bathroom at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and then I just can't go back to sleep. Usually it has to do with like my mind is racing about different things, my kids, you know, other stuff that I'm thinking about. And so I get up and I start thinking about that stuff. And then when I lay back down, I can't go back to sleep. You know, and then I'll just sit there and toss and turn for like an hour. And then I'll finally go back to sleep. But by the time I'm going back to sleep, it's like 4:30, 5 o'clock. And so I got to wake up in an hour anyway. And so my body doesn't have sufficient time to like lay down and actually get some deeper sleep after that, unfortunately. And so when I wake up always, I feel tired. Have you tried to go to the bathroom before bed? Well, yeah, of course I do, you know. I'm not just gonna go to bed having to go to the bathroom. The real problem is I drink way too much water before bed. That's what Carol says. Drink way too much water. That's the root of the problem. But my throat's dry. I got acid reflux. My throat's dry. So I have to drink water, you know. Alright, so look at the NASDAQ bounce at 2410s. I wanted to buy 24s, we just didn't quite get it. You know? Yeah, the Russell's down 240s. No, we don't really have any big 830 data or anything like that today. Not really. It's Friday. Next Friday is quad witching day, but this Friday's a little bit slower. Alright, so I'm writing the bottom. Michigan consumer sentiment is expected at 58.2. There we go. All right, so we bounced here at 2410s. I'm still looking at other breaking news. GM was upgraded at Barclays. AMAT was downgraded at Mizuho. The China cabinet meeting says they will be deploying measures to further promote development of private investment, according to state media. U.S. Energy Secretary says EU could phase out Russian gas in 6 to 12 months. We saw this earlier. Micron freezes prices at inference AI, fuel surge, and solid state drive demand and supply shortages, according to TrendForce. That's why MU is up so much. The European Trade Commissioner, Maros, says there's been free trade agreement talks with India for quite some time, but never at this momentum. Lutnick says the president is turning up pressure on drug makers to lower prices and demanding they commit within weeks to his most favored nation policy, according to Axios. Chinese vice finance minister says China is willing to strengthen dialogue with the United States. That came out about an hour ago. But yeah, we don't really have any other big news today. Looking at our poll numbers, most people expect 25 basis points. Who here still expects 50? Who here still expects the 50 basis point outlook next week? I'm curious. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just want to hear your argument for it. And what I'm saying is this is not an argument on why we should cut 50 basis points. This is an argument on why you think we will cut 50 basis points. I mean, I don't think we're going to cut 50, just to clarify. I think we're going to do 25, but maybe we do 50. I'm just curious to hear people's arguments on it. Nvidia bouncing up a little bit is dragging the NASDAQ back up. Yeah, I'm not, too much water maybe is the wrong expression. When I say too much water, Sam, I'm meaning I'm drinking enough water before bed where I have to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's dangerous to drink the amount of water I'm drinking. I don't drink that much water. If anything, I'm probably chronically dehydrated, but I think what happens is I lay down, I have acid reflux, so I have like a dry throat from it, and then I drink water to compensate for it. This is what happens. Anyways, look at the NASDAQ bounce here. We're seeing some rebounds here. Look at Meta. No, Meta's not really moving. Google's pulling back. Apple's rebounding a little bit. AMD maybe, MU. Yeah, this is mostly Nvidia rebounding back up, it looks like, in Apple. You need an argument to cut 25. Powell should hold. I mean, I think there's lots of arguments for a 25 basis point cut. You don't think the weakening labor market justifies at least a small cut? You don't think the largest revision to benchmark revision payroll numbers in history at 900,000+ justifies a small cut? You don't think 258,000 revisions to the last labor report, higher unemployment numbers, you don't think that justifies it? I think that's the only argument you really need. If not, we're going to be heading towards deeper labor weakness. The more the Fed stays modestly restrictive is what they call where they're at now. And so, yeah, I don't think we need an argument. I think the argument's there. Whether you agree with that, I mean, I don't know. But I think the argument's there for a 25 basis point cut for sure. Inflation is at 3% and rising. Yeah, but I mean, look, and I've said this for years. 3%, it's not the best inflation we could ever have, of course, but it's not an end of the world scenario. We don't want it to go higher, but 3% is 3%, and cutting rates 25 basis points is probably not going to meaningfully spike inflation in that way. And so Hey, what's up, crypto? No, I do not, because it is stagflation, so we cut rates and that fuels inflation. Yeah, but stagflation precedes a recession a lot of the time. And so, and again, maybe your argument, and again, I'm not even against it, is that maybe we should go into a recession to have price stability for a few years. I'm not even mad at that outlook. I think that's okay, considering the inflation we've seen over the last 5 years. I personally think we could do a small cut here and see what happens, and see if we continue to see weakening labor market signs. But everybody's different, and I understand. Nvidia pushing up, NASDAQ pushing up here. I'd like to trade. It's still a little early, though. I feel a little slower today, man. I didn't get enough sleep, man. I'm telling you. I hate not getting enough sleep. Yeah, I mean, I don't think 3% is terrible. People, like, look, I know the Fed has a 2% target, and I get it. But if we're around 3 and under 3.5, that's not like a terrible situation. Like, if we take a look at CPI inflation, and I think people make this really political, and it's not. I'm not really agreeing or disagreeing with any politician. I don't care about any of that stuff. But like 3% would be right. Let's look at it. See if we can find an exact 3% one. 7, 3.2, 7. Okay, so 3% is right around here. Right? Now, if we draw a line across the board here, around 3%, that's just about the average, I would say, over the past 20 years. And in terms of inflation. Is it good? No. Is it terrible? No. It's somewhere in the middle of that. And, yeah, I think we got to look at weak labor signs. You know, but again, everybody's different. I understand fearing inflation more than economic weakness as well. Because again, I think a lot of people are unhappy now because of inflation more than anything else over the last 5 years. And I say this every day, but I do agree with that. I think inflation chips away, and I fear inflation more than a recession, to be honest, but I'm self-employed, so I'm naturally going to fear inflation more just because, you know, my salary's not going to get bumped up because of inflation, you know, and I can't really get fired. The economy can be in the gutter. I'm going to be sitting here talking about finance. Honestly, my views might even be better if that's the situation. Typically, people tune in more when there's bad stuff happening. And so, not saying I want bad stuff to happen, but just saying, you know, I'm self-employed, so I fear inflation more. Yeah, we got Michigan consumer sentiment today at 10 a.m. Expected at 58.2. Rates need to double from here. Double, sir? You think rates need to double? Okay, so just to clarify here, let's talk about it. You think the federal funds rate should be at 9%. Is that correct? If this is a troll, man, it's a great troll. You got me. You know. Cheers to you. You know. I need the coffee today. Amazon trending against the market right now, looking for a bearish. Yeah, Amazon kind of flat. I don't know. The market's down today. Like the Nasdaq's down and SPY is down the last time I looked at it. Amazon is slightly red on the day, so it's kind of trending against the market, but not completely. AI is trending against the market right now. If you look at the Nasdaq here, oh, I'm sorry, the Nasdaq is slightly green. My apologies. You are correct, Pawn. I thought the SPY was red though. Yeah, so the SPY is slightly red. Yeah, the E-mini and the SPY or the S&P 500 is slightly red today. The Nasdaq, which is more tech heavy, that makes more sense, is actually a little bit green after the AI runs we've seen over the last hour. And so the S&P and the Nasdaq are kind of opposites. S&P is up, or S&P is down slightly today. Nasdaq is slightly green because of Nvidia and other AI stocks booming. You know, you can see AMD is up, MU is up, and so yeah. Those who save money want much higher rates. So you're sitting on a bunch of cash. I mean, I get it. If I had a bunch of cash sitting, I'd probably want higher rates too. Push that economy down. Make inflation nothing. Let my cash retain value. I understand. But unless you're retiring imminently, why are you sitting on a bunch of cash? You know? As of last year, the Nasdaq was up 50%. S&P was up ridiculous amounts too. Over from 2023 to 2024, the Nasdaq went up almost 100, or I think it was actually over 100%. And so why are you sitting on cash right now, bro? I'm not an investment professional. With that said, here, let me get this out the way. Understand all this stuff. I can't guarantee anything. Nothing here is financial advice. I'm the least financial professional in the world. Actually, no, let me clarify that. I am not a financial professional. Do not copy me. I have no idea what I'm talking about half the time. Yeah, understand all the stuff on screen. Bro, cash is going to lose value over time. Have you not seen this statistic? Here, it's all good. I think this is a good conversation to have today. But let's say you got $600,000 in cash sitting around. All right. If you do not invest into something, even at 2%, okay, even at 2%, you're going to lose. In 25 years, you're going to lose almost half your money, brother. Why would you sit on cash? I mean, listen, if you're retiring imminently, it makes sense. Don't copy me. I'm not an investment professional. But buy some bonds, dude. You know? I mean, listen, don't copy me. That is not a recommendation or financial advice. But why have you not gotten into bonds? Is there a reason for it? Yeah, top 5 least professional traders in the world. If you're holding it for years, that is bad. But if you know a good investment chance is coming, no, I agree with that. I'm actually okay with that, Rami. Like, I think it's fine if you got to. But again, in that situation, like, look, here's an example. You could buy T-bill. It's pretty liquid. You can sell it whenever you want. You know, how much do I have in T-bill right now? It's not that much, honestly. Okay. Yeah, I mean, right now I've got 15,000 sitting in T-bill. You know. And I can sell it whenever I want. It's going to pay me 4 or 5% annually in monthly interest payments, in monthly dividend payments. And so, you know, if you got a bunch of cash sitting, you might as well stick it in something that's going to pay you and let it work for you over time. It's risk-free, essentially. Not an investment professional. I got to say that a lot today. Yeah, money market funds at 4%, that's fine. Certified deposit, CDs, you know. They're gonna pay you about the same. If you want to get a little spicier, you could do like STRC. Somebody told me about this the other day. It'll pay you almost 1% a month, 10% a year right now. It's definitely not risk-free though. I mean, this thing moves up and down pretty decent percentages, and so it's not like T-bill or anything like that. But you know, the point is, if you're big on Bitcoin and you want almost 1% interest payments per month. Opinions on Bitcoin leading into the FOMC. Well, I don't know if it's Bitcoin, but crypto in general should react favorably if they decide to end quantitative tightening. I think the dot plot is also going to be relevant for the FOMC meeting next week because they're going to give updated economic projections in the dot plot next week. And that's very relevant and important to look at and understand. And so crypto wants easing in general. So crypto wants low interest rates. They want to end QT, and they're pushing for QE. I don't think so at all. That'll spike inflation. But yeah, I think it depends on what happens. Real estate's okay. I like real estate long term because real estate's not passive though, at all. It's passive if you hire a property manager and you pay them their little 10% and you let them do everything. But real estate will typically appreciate 4% a year, you know, so it'll appreciate similar to what you might make in like a money market or treasury bonds or whatever right now. But it's a lot less passive, and you know, some of it's gonna get, and that's just appreciation. In terms of like rental income, you should make more than that, but a lot of the rental income is gonna get eaten away by repairs, insurance, taxes. I would say at least half of it. You're still gonna make a little bit more probably, but yeah. The good thing about real estate is that as inflation happens, you can raise rent, prices go up, property values rise, and yeah, and so it follows inflation. Yeah, real estate's not liquid. But there's good methods to get like wealthy in real estate as well. There's the Burr method a lot of people use, which is, again, I'm not a real estate professional. My license is inactive right now. But there's the Burr method, which is buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. And so you're able to accumulate real estate, and as long as prices go up, which they probably will, the people you put in there, the tenants, will basically pay down the mortgages you get on it, and over time they'll pay for all your homes essentially, you know, which is valuable, you know. Over time you'll have somebody paying your mortgages down for you. QE comes in 2026. Maybe. It depends on how bad. QE only happens in desperate times. If you look at when we've done quantitative easing over the last 20 years, that we did it once in 2008, we did it in 2020. And so in desperate times, we do QE. Outside of that, we don't do it that much. It's not really a common practice by the Fed because it spikes inflation. So if we're on the cusp of a recession, then maybe we'll do QE. But we don't really see that yet either. We just see weakening in the labor market. CPI is out already. CPI came out at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, so CPI is out. recession's coming? Maybe. I don't know. Looking at our poll, 60% of people think we're going to do 25. The better question is, are we headed towards a recession? I don't know. I think we're somewhere in the middle. We haven't really got any reasonable pullback in the last 5 minutes. I've been watching the NASDAQ here. Here's the SPY. SPY is flat. Yeah, Bitcoin up to 115s, which is good. We're still ripping up. Dogecoin back up to 26 cents. The market gonna pump into rate cuts, then sell the news. It's possible. Sometimes these things are buy the rumor, sell the news. What's up, Sam? What question? Yeah, Octo was never gonna hold. What's your question, Sam? I'm looking for it now. I don't see it. Which question? What happens if they pause but offload the rate cut to December? I think the market goes down. I think the market panics if we do not cut rates next week. I think the market freaks out and goes down. Brother, I have a question. Can you explain the prelim University of Michigan's consumer sentiment to us, and what kind of impact does it have for Bitcoin because it's a red folder? Okay. So with a lot of economic reports, you have two different phases of them. You see prelim numbers, which are more estimates, and then you get the finalized, like, confirmed numbers. That's what's going on today. The prelim numbers are generally more variance heavy, and then the finalized numbers are more accurate. And so, with that said, the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report right now, I think Bitcoin and crypto want easing. And so weaker data for consumer sentiment might make Bitcoin go up, but I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. And if I'm wrong, chat, correct me here. But weaker consumer sentiment data, in theory, should make Bitcoin go up if it wants easing. But again, it's more altcoins is what I'm hearing. Stronger consumer sentiment, less arguments for rate cuts. I don't think it's going to influence rates at all, though. And so we might not see much movement from Bitcoin based off of the consumer sentiment report, because I don't think the consumer sentiment report honestly has the ability to influence rate projections at this point in time, with 4 market days away from the Fed rate decision. I just don't think it does. I don't even think CPI yesterday could have, unless it came in wildly outside of expectations. I don't think it's going to really influence rates too heavy, but especially not the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report. Could it move markets? Sure. Is it going to move Bitcoin in any significant way? Maybe. It would have to be way over or under expectations, I would think, to do so, and even still, it's not going to really affect rates in that way. And so it's also possible that with Bitcoin, we just see a correlation with markets. Like a lot of the time, Bitcoin moves with markets in terms of macro data. It's a little bit different of a nuance now, but yeah, that's kind of my take on it. But it can move things. It depends on how much over or under. The inflation expectations are relevant as well. If but again, the University of Michigan data sometimes is just wildly wrong. 1 year inflation expectations last time 4.8%, 5 year 3.5%. So we'll see. Sam, where's the question, brother? All I see is I have 3 million in prop funding. Someone please answer my question. And then I don't see the question, dude. Indexes are chopping. They might make a big move today or Monday, maybe. We'll see. Did you post it from another account? All right, here. Let me look up the chat history now. The world does this now? It doesn't let me see the username here. Let me. Yeah, I see drinking too much water. Before we get into economics, I have an urgent question, if I may. Bathroom break question. Drinking water. How can we write your name in the Western alphabet, please? No, what happens if the president appeal fails? He has to pay back all the tariffs and the U.S. defaults on its debt? Question mark. I don't know, man. I think that's certainly possible. All right, Nasdaq's still pushing up. I think it's certainly possible if that's your question. I've only seen it asked one time, but. Alright, I might short up here. We're just running a little bit too much here. Maybe I can short up here. We're at the top of the range. Pick one. I gotta be careful today. I made a decent amount of money, but I think I should trade smaller on Fridays. Oh. Nothing as the consumer will get nothing back. That's the excuse. Fridays and Mondays smaller. I don't know, Mondays aren't really that bad. Fridays, I don't think I'm that good on Fridays. But the range is kind of larger today though for positions, but All right, bud. Okay. You think we're tiptoeing into a recession and the market is in denial? I don't know. So we're gonna add into this. We're really targeting 40 here. But it depends on if AI keeps running. If AI keeps running, we will cut this. We made like 100 and something on this account yesterday. We can let this sit for a little while, but if it pushes too close to highs, I don't like it. Maybe I should have waited for my level right here. No. Bitcoin coming down a little bit, but not significantly. AMD still pushing up. This might drive. AI stacks are really what's driving the market this morning. You know what? I'm going to take half of this off. And then I'll just wait. Okay, this might be a troll for Sam. I think I started talking about a troll. Sam got a bright idea today. Sentiment is always distorted due to the media presentations. More interested. Yeah, I mean, I think one moment with other cryptos finally go, Bitcoin is stealing the show. Stock's expensive. Yeah. Where's Open at? Open has been running. It's at $10 a share, man. Maybe I should have bought Open. It's just not really my style. Like, the risk is too high, even if it goes up what it did. Where's Oracle at? Did Oracle correct a little bit? All right, I gotta cut this now. We're just running up too much. Where's my position? I'm glad I took half of it off, though. That's good. That's not the end of the world today in this account. I'm gonna switch accounts though and trade something else. I don't want to get back all the big gains I made yesterday in that one. But again, look at Nvidia rise right now. Oracle did give some of it back. It's down to 300s now. You're talking. This is your. I'm gonna talk about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Yeah, I mean, they've been rising on rate cut odds, and so they're up to Fannie Mae's up to 15.5 today. Freddie Mac is up to 14.5s, 14.1s. So yeah, they're just going up on rate cut projections. You know, and these are some of the easiest trades to make too, based off of, like, the argument here is that lower rates will stimulate the economy and house prices might increase. You know, lower interest rate environment's better for banks and mortgage companies. And so, yeah, I see it. DMX? I wish they let me play DMX, sir. Rest in peace. Alright, we're seeing like a contraction here. My short was right too, dude. bit. Maybe a little late. That's okay. See if this gets balled up or continues down. You also watched like 32s maybe. We had some confirmation at 32s, like right around here. 32s, right around here. Gold starting to rebound a little bit. A lot of this is bounced right off the previous closing price. Watch Apple too. Apple looks like it wants to rebound. Oracle's starting to head back up a little bit here. And if you and Chipotle stock falling, yeah, I think Chipotle has just lost some steam. You know, look at this big correction down here. This news related? Let's see. Reuters poll says the Bank of Canada is going to cut rates to 2.5%, 2.75, or to 2.5 from 2.75 next week, according to a bunch of economists. This is Apple dipping. Look at Apple dip and Nvidia dip here. So. Alright, so we got a big red candle here. It's mostly microchips and Apple falling down some. Go to X. President is speaking on Fox News right now. What's going on? The president's speaking on Fox News. Good, lets me watch this.
Mr. President, he's in custody.
Right here, I'm gonna mute the background music so I can hear it, but you guys can't. I'll try to cover what he's saying. Hold on. Okay, so apparently one of the suspects in the Charlie thing is in custody now. They said we have Kirk suspect in custody, according to the president. They said one of his friends turned him in based off of pictures. Somebody very close to him said that was him based off of the pictures. There's a minister that did it. Brought him to a U.S. Marshal who was fantastic. He said he just heard about it 5 minutes before he walked into the studio. But it's looking real good. Hopefully he's the right guy. You know, I'm not gonna get it's too political for me to really get too deep into, but hopefully it's the right guy. Outside of All right, so we've had some news. Paramount deal would face regulatory hurdles. All right, so we retraced a little bit, but Apple's starting to bounce back up. Yeah, sorry, I'm listening. I'm listening to the president speak about stuff is what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm listening to the press to see if he speaks on anything economics related, and he's not really. It's mostly about. I mean, it's on, a little bit outside of what I normally cover here is politics related. So I'm trying to, a lot of this is just political nonsense. All right, now the Nasdaq's bouncing back up. European Commissioner set to bring forward a review of 2035 car CO2 targets at the end of 2025 from previous year 2026. "25 basis points, which will probably be the case, is actually super bullish at essentially like no cuts. To be honest, 50 would mean we topped." Yeah, I mean 25 is not going to induce panic as much. Micro Nasdaq, I think, go above trend lines. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing Apple bounce back. Nvidia's what's weighing the market down now, but Nvidia's bouncing a little bit here too. So, all right, has it been going on for 15 minutes? I thought they said they gave me 15 minutes. I mean, I should be able to get this for free anyway. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, I get it for free anyway. All right, guys, look at Oracle. Oracle's bouncing back. Nvidia's now dipping down a little bit. Apple down. I'm going to stick around and wait and just see if they start. I'm going to put the closed captioning on so I can watch it. And then I'm going to unmute it, put the music back on, I think, here. There we go. Yeah. "50 is needed, it's late." See, we're so polarized and split down the middle with this type of stuff. We really are. Like, some people think we need 25, some people think we need 50, some people think we need no cuts. We really are somewhere in the middle here. 50 QE and a kick. Yeah, maybe. Morgan Stanley came out earlier and said they see 4 consecutive lower cuts and not a big one to start off. Yeah, I think so. We'll see. Yeah, they're still talking about Perk here. 25 more. Yeah, 25 is not really going to do too much here. But I think 25 is to start it off is fine, and then we'll play it by ear after that. You know, remember the Fed makes these decisions every 6 weeks, and so 6 weeks after next Wednesday, we'll get another FOMC decision where they'll probably cut rates more, I'm assuming. And so yeah, we'll see what happens. You know, we'll see what happens. But I'm thinking 25 next week. I've been saying this before the CPI and PPI data. I think 25 is pretty probable next week. Fed cuts could pressure dollar. Fed cuts would likely weaken the dollar by lowering federal funds cost. So ING's Chris Turner said Fed cuts would likely weaken the dollar by lowering funding costs and driving more hedging against depreciation. Yeah, I mean, it's going to spike inflation, devalue the dollar. Markets see a 93% chance of its 25 basis point cut next week, 71 basis points priced by the end of the year, 142 basis points priced by the end of next year. The Dixie is up 0.1%. So we'll see. China and the UK agree to facilitate trade in dual-use terms, in dual-use items, I mean. Depends on what you're looking at in terms of mortgages. Mortgage rates are currently about 6.5% average, I think, if I remember correctly. The federal funds rate is at what, 425 to 450, 4.25 to 4.5 is the Fed funds. Those are short-term rates. Like the federal funds rate, just to put this into perspective for everybody at home so you can kind of understand. Hold on, let me look at something real quick. The federal funds rate specifically here, just so you can understand, is short term, right? So what we're looking at with the Fed funds rate is Fed funds rate is the interest rate that banks charge each other to lend money overnight. It directly affects like home equity lines of credit, adjustable rate loans, because those are the rates that are being adjusted to a certain extent. Longer term mortgages are more affected by bond prices and yields. But there's a lag to everything. They indirectly affect each other. Yeah. All right, guys. Nasdaq's pushing up here. Back up to that 24 level. I'm kind of looking at that now. I don't know if I want to short it. I don't really like the retest. See, this is pretty cheap. Yeah. Again, next week we got the FOMC decision. We got CPI this week showing up basically flat. Let me make this a little bit larger here. I think this is better. There we go. I mean, right now we're slightly bullish on the day in most things, right? The SPY is basically flat, but the NASDAQ, because of AI strength, is green. Oil, on the other hand, is up slightly as well. Gold is up slightly. Most things are pretty flat. Remember, next Friday is quad witching day as well. All right, I gotta change the Christmas music. I didn't realize there was this many. Again, I'll do a poll here. We asked people, how much does the FOMC cut next week? Most people think 25, as they should. That's the most probable outcome. We'll do another poll. Are you bullish or bearish headed into the opening bell? Bull, bear. Vote on the poll. Let me know what you guys think. All right, so NASDAQ still ripping up. There's 2050 right here. 2050 might be a reasonable spot. Or 2450. Look at Apple. So Apple dipped and then bounced back. A lot of people think Apple's going to do really well after their Apple event. Gold? Where's gold at? Let me see. I think gold's flat on the day too, but gold's been elevated. It's close to all-time highs. All-time highs on gold futures now 37.1520. And so I don't know if it's my favorite time to buy gold, but what do I know? All right, looking at our poll so far, 56% long out of the poll, 44% bearish. 200 basis point cut. Warner Bros. Still surprisingly going up. Yeah, the universal translator earbuds for the new AirPods are really solid. That looks cool. So basically, you can go anywhere. If you got AirPods in, you can interpret what people are saying in other countries and stuff. I think that's a really cool feature. Silver's performing well. Yeah, we'll see. Got about 1,000 people here already. We appreciate you guys joining us today. 10 minutes until 8:30. Any news today? We got the Michigan consumer sentiment data, which I don't think is going to influence rate odds. I really don't. Yeah. Pepsi? Let's take a look. Remember, I bought S&PS Synopsis yesterday, and then I sold it at the open for a pretty solid gain. Could have held it longer, to be honest. but we made enough money from it, I think. Short. Check this. Yeah, we haven't really lost much on our on any of our swing trades that we've got in. We've mostly made money on everything. United Health still pushing up at 350s right now. Let's see if we run at the opening bell. I think we got more bulls than bears, and so we'll see. Yeah, we got Michigan consumer sentiment. Looking green to me. I never lose money. I gotta, yeah. I don't know if we're gonna get a full green week. I expect honestly choppiness leading into the FOMC decision next week. I think it's more probable that the markets are gonna be apprehensive, but you never know. I mean, that's generally what happens, is sideways chop leading in the FOMC meeting. But sometimes we run big. Yeah, no, I already covered that, Michelle. So we talked about that already. We actually have it on watch. And so yeah, they basically they said they're pretty sure he's the suspect, but they don't know for sure. And they said somebody that he knows turned him in. I think it was a preacher or a priest or somebody, is what we see. Money never gets lost. Yeah. All right, we're still trying to go to the top here. Apple bouncing up a little bit. And if we look at Apple, Apple's interesting, I think. They actually reacted negatively to their iPhone event, you can see. But they're rebounding a little bit today. I don't know if it's time to buy Apple. I bought Apple a month or two ago for a swing trade I held. And we made money on that. I don't know if it's time to buy Apple again, though. We'll see. New highs for markets. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. We got 1,000 here, guys. Hey, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. I appreciate the love. Thanks so much. President said we're going to Memphis with the National Guard. We will bring the military if we need to. All right, Nasdaq's still sideways at the top here. People are talking about the dollar. Do you guys really think the dollar is going to go down significantly? I don't think so. It's backed by too much stuff. Or it's backing too many things, I should say. I had that backwards. It doesn't quite. I think it gives you 10 annualized, so it gives you a little bit less than 1%, Maria. But yeah, it's STRC. It's a MicroStrategy backed dividend income ETF. I think, right? Let me see. Maybe it's 9% right now. Maybe they pay out 9% annually. Yeah, there's a couple different ones. I think this one pays out monthly. There's one that pays out quarterly. But again, not an investment professional. I'm certainly not telling you to buy this. Put up a longer term chart, like a weekly chart, and you'll see how much it moves up and down. Now it's gone up since you bought, like since its induction in July, but it moves up and down large percentages. Alright guys, here's Oracle. Oracle at 305s. NASDAQ's still up there. It pushed to 2440 and then it just kind of consolidated back down. Watch 2450. If we get over that, maybe we bounce there. Or maybe we reject. But I'm watching 2450s as of now. It's not an ETF technically. Or hold on. Yeah, so STRC is a preferred stock. It's not really an ETF, but it does pay income, so it's designed as a yield-oriented instrument, is what it is. The initial dividend yield for STRC is about 9% a year, paid monthly. Dividend rate is variable, meaning it can adjust. It's linked to market rates, soft or under certain conditions, to help keep the price close to its $100 stated value. Dividends are cumulative, so if payments are missed, they accrue still. Price stability is the goal. It's senior to some of MicroStrategy's other preferred shares, but the yield is variable. So if interest rates rise or if MicroStrategy's obligations change, they could shift how much it pays out. But as of now, it's paying about 9% a year. And again, I'm not saying it's going to go up or down, no idea. But it's backed by Bitcoin, and MicroStrategy is what it's backed by. Yeah, I'm looking at the SPY up here. There's 830. Yeah, just the risk here, Maria, as with most things like this, is that if Bitcoin tanks, in theory, this thing could dump too. They're trying to keep it close to 100, but like here, let me put it up. So here's STRC. Here's a yearly chart. This thing IPO'd back in July. But with that, you can see it goes up and down and up and down and up. You know, in theory, though, it's supposed to keep it closer to 100, which is here. But it's still like, okay, it pays 9% divided by 12. So it's paying 75 basis points a month, essentially. And so, you know, if you got 100K invested into it every month, it's going to pay you $750. All right, guys, look at Apple dip down here. This is Apple falling down quick. Look at Nvidia. Look at Apple dump though. Something just happened. Let's see what it is. And then Apple just retraced back up here. Maybe it's just the 830 scrum. We don't really have any economic reports at 8:30 today. We got Canadian building permits capacity utilization numbers. Let's see if we find any breaking news. I don't see any unless the president's starting to talk. Canadian building permits. Could just be 8:30 movements. U.S. proposes broad G7 sanctions on Russian energy to end the war. Is what I'm showing as well. That dropped 1 minute ago. Maybe this is what it is. Apple down to 228 right now, though. Nvidia falling down as we speak as well. Here's the SPY. SPY dipping down on this as well. The president implies the administration is looking into... Oh. A little bit too political there, but... Yeah, the president is speaking right now. Could just be the 8:30 movement here. We'll see. Yeah, pre-market today's been tough though, to be honest, man. It has not been easy. We're going up and down and up and down. The range is sideways, but it's kind of an expanding range as more traders wake up here. Like you can see the range started here. Here's when the day starts. And we've gone down and up and back down. Now we're right back in the middle range here, but it's been back and forth, to be honest. It's not been easy. So Apple delays the iPhone Air launch in China. This is probably what's going on. They cited regulatory issues. Apple iPhone Air China delay likely related to eSIM issues, according to them. This is what's going on. What? Yeah. It's supposed to be an apple. That's alright. Yeah. Alright, I love you. Remember, I'm hilarious, Maddie. Just remember that, you know? Love you, dude. Good day, bro. Just remember, your dad, hilarious. Alright? Remember this. Never. No. That's just not true. That's just factually incorrect. Alright, I love you guys. Y'all be safe. Next dip? I don't know. This could be the scrum. I think it's the iPhone was delayed in China. Apple originally reacted like this, right? And this is what dragged the NASDAQ down quickly. Here's the original candle that we got from the Apple delays in China for the Apple Air, iPhone Air. And this caused this big pullback and then a big retracement back up here. And so it's probably this news that affected tech and everything else here with NVIDIA and the SPY right here. But it didn't hold on the downside. And now we're starting to come back to the downside here too, so. Still being boycotted in your house? No. No, I'm not. It's only my son that'll boycott me. You know? You ever seen The Office where Dwight shuns people? That's what my son does if he gets to get video games taken away. And he's mean about it too. I'll be like, hey bro, love you man, you know, and he'll just ignore me. I'm shunned, apparently, if I take video games away. Alright, Apple coming back down. We're at 228s right now. 228s. Big crash will start from the 7,000 level in the S&P. I'll buy this 10 level right here if we get down here. Depends on how much this drives Apple down. But yeah, he does say good day, sir. You know. And he'll stick with it too, bro. Like, it'll drag on to the next day. Gold's still falling down a little bit. I kind of want to buy the NASDAQ. We got the 200 exponential and the 24 level here on a 5-minute chart. I don't hate it. But I need a longer dip back down, and I don't think I'm going to get it necessarily here. Again, check out Top Step if you haven't already. Top Step, there's no PDT rule. If you want to learn to day trade, you don't need to fund your own account thousands of dollars and probably lose it. Just trying to look cool in markets. It makes absolutely no sense to. Logically, it makes no sense. Most day traders lose their first few accounts. Why would you fund your own account thousands of dollars to probably lose it just to feel some risk instead of trading with, you know, just a complete paper account? Instead, try Top Step. $50 a month is what the first one, the base one starts. They give you a 50K demo. If you can make 3K without losing 2K in profit, following their rules and conditions, and you want to confirm it with them, I can't guarantee anything. But if you can do that successfully, they fund you 50K, 90% split. You get to keep your first 10K prior to that split kicking in afterwards. And then again, 90% split afterwards. It's similar to funding your own account in terms of split. $50 a month risk. And so you're risking something. It's not the full extent of thousands, but you learn how to trade with risk, and it makes more sense to learn in this environment. Some of the best rules in the game: 0 commission on Top Step X. You can now reset funded accounts with your with the back to funded options. Just a lot of great stuff. Although, listen, guys, I am biased. I get paid by them. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. I can't guarantee anything. I'm biased because they're a sponsor of mine, but genuinely useful for traders. You can see all the stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. Don't copy me. But genuinely useful. Oh, dude, I won in 24.10. I didn't quite get it. It got down to 24.14s. I'll pin this to the top of the chat if you want to help support the channel, though. Hey, nice talks. Yeah, I traded gold the other day. I did surprisingly well on gold. Surprisingly well on gold. Look, here's 24.10. This is the level I was looking at. We didn't quite get it. I wanted this here, and we got here. Fortunately, I didn't get it. That's a snowman, guys, by the way. But yeah. Buy only Bitcoin. Why people are buying 100% human manipulated stocks? I mean, I like Bitcoin. I'm in Bitcoin. I want Bitcoin to go up. But Bitcoin's human manipulated as well. I would say the percentage holders of Bitcoin are very, very large. People hold ridiculous amounts of Bitcoin, which means that they're human manipulated, sir. I think President says patience with the Russian president has run out, and it's running out fast. President is suggesting very hard sanctions on Russia as well. So Apple did say the iPhone 17, 17 Pro, and 17 Pro Max will still go on order in China. It's just the iPhone Air is now coming out later there. Delay like really related to eSIM issues. Is what I'm seeing. Yeah, I saw that, Dirt. Stock market even more manipulated. I think it depends. Like, I think the stock market, one of the things that I can do better in the stock market than I can do in crypto is that I can isolate individual companies that have value. In crypto, you know, maybe you got some altcoins that have value, and that's sure, and that's true and fine, but there's definitely much more limits in regards to healthy symbols on the blockchain right now versus the stock market. You know, so like I can find healthy companies that are underrepresented or that are down too much and have a pretty high percentage chance of making money if I buy the pullbacks. You've seen me do this yesterday on S&PS. You see me do it on United Health not that long ago. You see me do it on a bunch of different symbols here. That dynamic is not the same in crypto. I invest in Bitcoin and some others, like, you know, like I think I have like Bitcoin, XRP, and some other stuff. But that dynamic's not the same in crypto. And I like crypto. I want crypto to go up. I'm holding Bitcoin, you know. But it's a different thing. Right now, the stock market and crypto are two different things. Maybe they will join each other one day. And maybe that one day will be sooner than I thought it previously was. But right now, they're two different things. And I would not give up the edge I have handpicking individual stocks that are underrepresented or down too much or whatever to go trade the wild, wild west of cryptocurrencies. You know what I mean? It's just not something I'm as familiar with. It's not something that I know very well in terms of, you know, a lot of these coins that you see out there are just nonsense. And so I feel the safest buying major player coins, like big understandable coins, but there's still risk. Not even coins, but cryptos. I like Solana, Ray, Chainlink. All right, NASDAQ push it up. I wish I would have caught this a little bit earlier, but I wanted 10 and we got 14. This has been happening over and over again the last few days where I want a specific level and we get close to it, but not quite there. All right, so Commerce Minister in China says he's going to visit Spain September 14th to 17th and will hold talks with U.S. officials during this visit. Two sides will talk about trade, export controls, tariffs, and TikTok, according to a statement that they just made. Again, the China Commerce Minister said he is flying to visit Spain September 14th and will hold talks with U.S. officials during this visit. ETH has been going up though, hasn't it? All right, guys. Hey, we got 45 minutes until the opening bell. We'll see what we get. But before you had the bull run, it went wild in the crypto space. Now you have to wait for reports and so on for markets to react. So crypto is getting more in the financial Wall Street way. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely crypto. Most of the time, I would say moves in a macro way with the markets. But it's definitely more specialized and a little bit more. It's definitely different, but it's also the same in terms of how it moves. President just said inflation is down and the stock market is up. He said we have the best stock market ever. Speaking about the stock market. ETH is slow and outdated. Not agreeing with that. Don't hate me, crypto guys. Gold coming back down. Is it time to buy gold? Apple actually going up a little bit still, trying to fight its way back up. All right, so the president said the suspect's father turned him in. to be completely honest, I don't think that's necessarily optimistic regarding them getting the right guy. If his dad was like, yo, turn yourself in, and he was like, okay, that would, to me, seem like it's not the right guy. You know? Because the guy that would do something like that, I don't think, regardless of where the pressure came from, he would do that. You know what I mean? But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't know. I hope it's the right guy, but I don't know. NASDAQ broke all-time high twice today. That's just not true. I think, right? I think all-time high is like 24 something, way up there. No? I mean, look, here's a weekly chart. Yeah, all-time high on the NASDAQ. I don't even think it's this. I think it's actually higher than this. Hey, look. Okay, there's a weekly chart. Yeah, all-time high on the NASDAQ is currently... maybe it is. I didn't know it was this high. Let me look at TOS. Hold on. You might be right. Yeah, all-time high on the NASDAQ is 24,068.50. 24,068.50. So all-time high would be here. That would be the all-time high that I'm showing up on charts. 24,068.50. We got a little ways up there, but we're close enough to all-time highs to where, you know, I definitely have more of a buy sentiment. The NASDAQ is very close to all-time highs. Last time we broke all-time highs was about a month ago. 7 weeks, 6.5 weeks, or I'm sorry, 3.5 weeks ago. On actually, it was exactly a month ago, on August 11th. The last time the NASDAQ broke highs. We will see. President on the Fed, it says always late on interest rates. Inflation is down. Stock market is up. That we have to get Republican voters to avert government shutdown with CR. He said on government funding will likely do a stopgap. Why would all-time high be a buy sentiment momentum? Short term for day trading, I think it's a buy symbol or sentiment, but I might be wrong here, of course, like I always tell you guys. Like, I think the closer we get to all-time highs, the more probable it becomes that we test them. Doesn't necessarily mean we break them in any big significant way, but the closer we get, the more likely it is that we test them just from people getting excited about a potential test of them. It's kind of self-fulfilling, if that makes sense. It doesn't have to happen, though. Sometimes we just get big turnarounds to the downside, too. Like, you never really know. And, yeah, you never really know, but I think it becomes more probable that we at least test these levels. At the same time, just to give you guys the other perspective of it, long term, most of the time when we break all-time highs, we continue up. People have this misconception that just because we're at all-time highs, we're not going to continue going higher. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think if you look at history, most of the time when we test all-time highs, we continue going up from there. And so what goes up doesn't necessarily have to come back down in the stock market. That's a misconception. Most of the time, the market's going to move up about 8 to 10% a year, and it's going to continue to move up for long periods of time. With big corrections and crashes happening roughly every 5 to 15 years. And so that's kind of the nature of it. It doesn't mean it's going to do that. It could always stray from that normal, movement pattern, but yeah. Yeah, we got Michigan consumer sentiment at 10 a.m. We're going to be covering that live. NASDAQ is very close to all-time highs. Look, here's all-time highs right here. Here's where we are now. We're pretty close. I like this range up there too. But we could have big swings. Gold is actually spiking up a little bit now. CPI already came out yesterday. It came in mostly as expected, except headline month-over-month showed up at 0.4 versus 0.3% expected. And so CPI dropped yesterday. My title says CPI Hangover, which means like it's the hangover from CPI yesterday. Often lots of stops above previous all-time highs. Yeah, for sure. All right, so we're starting to move up. Let's see if we test the all-time high. SPY is right around the previous closing price, though. But then taking that, knowing people hold Bitcoin because of limited supply, but then you figure out that ETH is less inflation makes it even better. Maybe, yeah. But it's risk. All right, so I'm seeing a Yahoo Finance article that says right now jobs matter more than inflation, even as tariff pressures build. The president's tariffs are no longer just a policy debate. They're starting to show up in groceries, they say. August CPI report revealed sticky prices in tariff categories like vehicles, household goods, food. RSM chief economist Joe B says, when I see apparel prices jump by 0.5%, those are tariffs. When I see food prices jump, given the composition of North American food supply chain, that's tariffs. To that point, food prices climbed 0.5% last month. Food at home index, which is groceries, rise 0.6%, the biggest monthly uptick since August of 2022's inflationary markets. Motor vehicle parts rose 0.6%. New vehicle prices up 0.3%. Furnishing and bedding also went up 0.3%, leaving them nearly 5% higher than a year ago. Sticky services inflation is still alive as of yesterday's inflation report, though. Shelter costs too came in hotter than hoped. Airline fares surged almost 6% in August, adding to July's 4% bump up. And Joe B said, that's not really what you want to be. Not Joe Burrow, by the way. This is Joe Brusuelas. He said, quote, that's not really where you want to be just before you're going to start rate cutting cycles. End quote. Fed is still preparing to cut next week. Powell has signaled it. Markets are pricing it in. And the reason isn't inflation. It's the labor market. Jobless claims yesterday came in at 263,000, which is noticeably higher than the 235K expected number. And so this is scaring a lot of people in terms of jobs. Jobless claims are spiking. Payrolls are weak. Unemployment spiking. Slowdown is still underway. Payrolls grew by just 22,000 in August, averaging a meager 29,000 over the past 3 months, which is not good. Again, investors are split. Retail sentiment looks downright gloomy. 28% of investors call themselves bullish. 50% are bearish. Most pessimistic reading since April tariff lows. And Deutsche Bank now sees the index for the S&P 500 hitting 7,000 in 2025. Wells Fargo sees S&P at 6650. Barclays 6450. Yardini lifted its year-end forecast to 6,800 based off of easing potential. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, guys. Let me know where you're at. What do you fear more, inflation or recession? We did this yesterday. We're pretty split though. Like I posted this yesterday. We did this poll yesterday here, if you check it out. And again, give me a follow on x.com at beginner trades. We did this poll yesterday. Which do you fear more, inflation or recession? We got 50-50 split out of 200 votes in about 2 minutes. The people are split down the middle. And again, this is which do you fear more. I'm going to end the poll we currently got, and I'm going to do another one here. Again, which do you fear more? Inflation or recession? We're going to ask this again. Vote on the poll. Poll is now live. Let me know what you guys think. Oh, can y'all hear my dogs barking? That's Bruce. Ugh. All right. After your stagflation, sure. Oh, but I would say stagflation means you think we're going to enter a recession. All right, out of 50 votes, most people are fearing a recession more, I think. See. I fear Bruce, you should. Everybody fears Bruce. Believe it or not, we named him Bruce, not even thinking about Batman. I should give Bruce his own emoji. Rosie has her own emoji. This is Rosie. Let me find Bruce. I got him somewhere. Looking for Bruce. Hold on. Bruce, buddy, be quiet. Look at all these old pictures. Look at young John right here. Look at that kid. Going on to do big things right there. Look at that kid. I had a mullet, I think, at this time. Must be early 90s. You know? Check me out. Look at this one too. Deep in thought right now. Deep in thought. Nasdaq's flat right now, guys. There's 9 a.m. Oh, here's Bruce. I finally found him. This is Bruce when he was like 6 months old, 7 months old. Yeah, that's Bruce. He's a sweet dog, though. He's nice. Unless you're a stranger in our house when you're not supposed to be. All right, guys. Nasdaq's trying to get up here. I'm watching 24.5. I think 24.5 is a reasonable spot. Yeah, I mean, if we do a big correction in markets, I'm just gonna buy the dip. You know. Market's kind of flat. I'm waiting to take positions. I took a couple up down already on the day, but that's all right. What's this video? Rosie, you're just the happiest dog ever. All right, ready? Sit, stay, stay, stay. Come. Good boy. Sit. Rosie, sit. Ready? Sit. Shake. Good boy. Shake. Good girl. All right. Ready? Bang, bang. Nope. Bang, bang. Bang, bang. Bruce. Bang, bang. Bang, bang. Good boy. Good boy. There you go. There you go. Good job. I miss them when they were that little, dude. They were cool little dogs. Smart little dogs. Now they think they run the house, you know. Alright, they're up to 24 fives. Again, I'm watching 24 fives right now. They're two completely different personalities for dogs, though. I love them. They're good dogs. I gotta give Bruce his own emoji here. All right, so the president is now done speaking on Fox. We ended up ripping up a little bit. I don't think it's the highest. I think we might, like, reject around it, which we ended up rejecting at 53s. Long-term position out of the markets in case of bubble pop. Yeah, we got a little bit more fear in a recession today. Yesterday it was 50-50. Now it's 54-46 recession versus inflation. Again, I'm waiting probably until the opening bell. We'll see what happens, but I'm probably going to wait till the opening bell. Yeah, Bruce is better at the bang bang one, you know. Bruce is more food motivated. So if I pull a treat out, Bruce is, you know, he's on it. Rosie is more like affection motivated. Hey, what's up, Mr. Nice Guy? Is that a half-baked reference or just a, you know? Or are you just a nice guy? Alright guys, gold's pushing up a little bit. Look at gold right now on the right side. We're at 36.86. Nasdaq's kind of following up too, but look at it, 24.50 here. This is why I was worried we might reject here. Yeah, Bruce is so food motivated, I could literally give him like a medication and he will just eat it with no treat. You know, if it's possible it could be food, he's trying it, you know. Rosie's the complete opposite. She's picky. She refuses to eat kibble. You know, unless we make it sit, like unless we just don't give her any treats for days, then she'll eat kibble. But she's not really a big kibble eater. It's our fault, I understand. We babied her too much. But yeah. Alright guys, Nvidia falling down a little bit. Look at Nvidia down to 177.40s. This is why I was watching 24.50 because I thought it had the potential to reject it. Or if we get over 24.50, I think it's possible we bounce there. NVIDIA stepping back from cloud effort to compete with Amazon Web Services. So NVIDIA is stepping back, according to the information, from cloud effort to compete with AWS. The information has lessened its effort to attract businesses to the cloud service dubbed DGX. I'm sorry, NVIDIA has lessened its effort to attract businesses to the cloud service dubbed DGX Cloud, according to a person familiar with the matter. The problem I have with dog food, though, is that some of the dog food, like the healthy dog food, is more expensive than healthy human food. And that's an issue, right? You buy a thing of jerky, it's like $40 for a large bag. That's ridiculously large expensive, you know? All right, NVIDIA came all the way down to the previous closing price right here at 177.15 or so. Bounced right off of it. Let's see if it continues. SPY's still pushing up. NASDAQ's getting close. Remember, the all-time highs on the NQ heading into the opening bell is right here. And we are right here now. All right, again, we're going to be day trading at the opening bell live here. All right, we're now over 2450s. I'm in one trade and a challenge account right here. I'm up about 170 here on this one. Take like 3 off right there. Again, we're just kind of sitting on this. Thesis is just we're close to all-time highs. I might buy this range. The billionaire Winklevoss brother says on CNBC that Bitcoin is going to $1 million. You should hold. It's going up 10x from here. Winklevoss brothers are the guys who sued Mark Zuckerberg for essentially they hired Mark Zuckerberg to create a social media platform based off of Harvard EDU URL, and Zuckerberg thought it was a good idea and created Facebook from it. And then the Zuckerberg or the Winklevoss twins basically said Mark stole their idea and sued him and won for millions and millions. I think it was like, I don't know if it was like 50 to 100 million or something like that. I mean, in the end, it was still well worth it for Mark because he ended up making billions of dollars from the idea. But Facebook eventually evolved into something that was not the same thing as what the Winklevoss brothers were talking about anyway. So who I agree with there is somewhere in the middle. I think it probably worked out as it should. They made millions and millions. Mark made billions, and that's probably how it should have gone, I think. Yeah, we got the Michigan consumer sentiment data at 10 a.m. All right, guys. So again, we got Michigan consumer sentiment today. You can see the bottom of the screen. It's expected at 58.2, 58.2. Let's see what the consumer sentiment shows. We got, I'll put a timer up. We got 46 minutes left. There's a timer. Yeah, they bought Bitcoin with all the money from the lawsuit and became billionaires, 100%, yeah. I'm not really, if I was the Winklevoss brothers, I'd probably be kind of mad, you know? Imagine hiring a dude to do a project for you and the dude basically, like, strings you along for a while. And then you find out that during the whole time he was supposed to be working for you, he was actually creating his own version of what you hired him to do. I don't think that's necessarily crybaby. I might be kind of heated if that happened to me, you know? I mean, you know, $100 million would make me feel a lot better about the situation, but I might be kind of mad at that point in time. Hold on. $65 million is what they won in the lawsuit. 20 million in cash, 45 million in Facebook stock. Zuck was a billionaire by the time he got sued. All right, guys, we got 15 minutes until the opening bell. Let's see what we get. Kind of like Zuckerberg ripping off his roommate. Yeah, I mean, I actually disagree with what Zuckerberg did to Eduardo, and Eduardo ended up winning the lawsuit anyway, turned into a billionaire from it also. So Morgan Stanley now expects 4 straight rate cuts in 2025. Gold dipping down to 3680s. The person who really made out like a bandit was the founder of Napster. What was his name? Sean something. Sean Patterson? What was his name? Sean Parker. Yeah. That dude made out like a bandit. He's now worth $3 billion from Facebook mostly. And that was all. This is all under the assumption that the Winklevoss bros could have built the same thing that Facebook was and grown it to that point, which is certainly arguable. That they wouldn't have built it the same, I mean. Tom from MySpace played his cards right. He did. I think he sold a tad bit too late. He made 500 million or something from MySpace, but I think he sold it a tad too late. I think if he would have sold it maybe a year earlier, before the migration away from MySpace to Facebook, I think he would have made a lot more from it. Yeah, 4 straight cuts, according to Morgan Stanley now. So Treasury spokesperson said G7 partners need to step up with tariffs to cut off revenues to Russia. As somebody that trains jiu-jitsu, I think Zuckerberg's a lot cooler now that he trains. You think we'll see all-time highs today? We're close. If we do, it's, you know, it's possible for sure, just based off of how close we are to NASDAQ. All-time highs at 24.68. We're at 24.48. $20 away. It's possible we do. You never know. 12 minutes left until the open. Maybe we'll get a bump at the opening bell. We'll see. Mark would probably win, Paul, realistically. Last three Fridays we sold off. History doesn't repeat itself, but sometimes it rhymes. Maybe we'll see a sell-off today. Mark Twain said it. One of my favorite market quotes. I think it was Mark Twain. It might have actually been somebody else. Hold on, let me look this up. Widely attributed to Mark Twain, though there's no direct record of him saying it. He actually would. Al is actually legit. I think he's a black belt. Old spare tire, you know. All right, guys. Gold push it up. We're at 36.88 right now. It's still a little decent away from all-time highs. It's Friday, guys. I'm just kind of joking around. We don't really have too much to go off of except for around all-time highs, but we've kind of been sideways for. But we're at the top of the range now. We're close to 24.50, which we did reject at 24.68. The all-time high on the NASDAQ is pretty close up there. Gold is in a range, but close to all-time highs as well. All right, let's get the opening bell here soon enough. Yeah, old spare tire Dixon in the 1966 champion game for Polk High School. Alf scored the final touchdown, was the game winner against his rival, Spare Tire Dixon. You know, he could beat up anybody, I think. Some of y'all don't understand what I'm talking about, and that's okay. So close to highs, I don't know if we actually get a sell-off without some crazy news catalyst coming today. You know, I tend to think we maybe break highs once and then come back down and then we chop sideways. Maybe people are super optimistic about easing. Maybe people are super excited about easing. It's possible as well. And maybe we run up to all-time highs today. As you know, we'll have to wait and see. I'm cautious. Want to see Powell do a kickflip? Sell off before today's meeting. I won't buy all-time high stocks. Christmas music is back at it. All right, looking at our poll now, 53%, 52% think we're going to hit a recession. 48% think they fear more inflation. Or they fear a recession more. 52% fear a recession more. 48% fear a spike to inflation more. NASDAQ's close to all-time highs. 25% sell-off. We already got a 25% sell-off in April. We bounced all the way back. Now we're at all-time highs again. We're chopping right before the open. Look at the market right before the opening bell today, though, guys. This is the market right now. Market news is slow. iPhone Airs delayed in China, caused Apple to drop some. We're close to all-time highs. Nvidia and other microchips opened up strong in the day, and now we're kind of fading back down a little bit. We got 6 minutes until the opening bell. Yeah, I think we're kind of in the middle, to be honest. Not 25 much. Never will happen again. Just to list 5% sell off in 2 days before the meeting. Maybe. I mean, it's possible we chop again. I think. What is playing right now on my music?
At first I said that
Nope. We'll get a 10% correction after we hit 7,000 on the S&P. Maybe. We're close to 7,000. At the opening bell, less than 5 minutes. Market up, too expensive. Market down, it's crashing. That's the nature of traders, though. Micron has been up on the day mostly, right? Yeah, Micron was up earlier this morning. It's kind of pulling back a little bit, but it's still green on the day. It's at 153.70s. United Health still ripping up. Gold, if we look at like a 1 minute chart, has been pushing up for the last hour or so. I think gold has some of the easier ranges and trends to attack, to be honest, on longer term day trades. It can move big with economic reports or market news, but I think some of the ranges are easy to attack. Let's watch 40 right here, see if we bounce. Range is small, but we're slightly downtrending. About 3 minutes left. I don't dislike PayPal. I just think the growth of technology. I think PayPal still makes boatloads of money. It's tied to a lot of online sales. But one of the things that you see over the last few years, and this is coming from somebody that's in PayPal. I'm in PayPal right now. But one of the things that you see over the last like 5 years is the more widely accepted use of cryptocurrencies. Tether, USDC. People send those all across the world now. It's less red tape, but it's easier. Fees might be a little bit more, but the fees on PayPal aren't necessarily cheap either. But just in terms of ease of access and, you know. And so if that dynamic continues moving forward, then in theory, PayPal could be at risk. But I still think PayPal's big enough as a company and more widely used in sales, especially in the US, that it has some resilience to this dynamic, but I don't know. All right, NASDAQ coming down here. Right before the open, 2 minutes before. Now it's back up, so look at Nvidia rip here. This looks news related. Again, if you want to help support the channel, check out Top Step. There's no PDT in futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, gold, currencies. In some places, no PDT rule. Most day traders lose their first few accounts, so depositing money, thousands of dollars into your own account, risking that makes no sense. Instead, Top Step's $50 a month for the base one. If you pass the test, following their rules and conditions, and you want to confirm it with them, you get 50K in funding, 90% split. You get to keep your first 10K prior to that split kicking in, so you're learning with some risk at $50 a month, $100 for the middle one, $150 with the top one. But it's noticeably less risk than funding thousands into your own account and probably losing that. As a new day trader, they pay out millions, fund thousands. It's the best of both worlds. I always describe it. But they're a sponsor of mine. I am biased. I get paid by them, so of course I'm biased. But I think they're genuinely useful for traders. If you want to check it out, I'll put the link up. Understand all this stuff on screen. Most day traders lose money regardless of where you go. Frankly, it's a lot cheaper to lose here. Usually, there's always outliers, but usually it's a lot cheaper to lose here, and it's a better way to learn, in my opinion. But if you want to check it out, I'll put the link up. Great way to help support the channel. Top 3 least financial professionals in the world right now. Nvidia's bouncing right now before the opening bell, though. We got 30 seconds left here, chat. 30 seconds. Yeah, we got Michigan consumer sentiment data in about 30 minutes. All right, guys, here's the opening bell. Let's see what we get. Nasdaq's falling down a little bit into the open. This is Apple related here. There's the bell. And we are ripping up here. You'll have to see it. I'm gonna start taking some profit into the opening bell right now. On that trade, that long trade I was in. I think we'll test highs though. I mean, I guess I'll put this little combine trade up just so you guys can see it. We're already up about 2 on the day in this one. We're close to all-time highs. Here's all-time highs right here. Big retracement back down. Apple and Nvidia are all kind of moving up though. I'm going to add to this, I think, and just take some risk here. The challenge account, so we can do so pretty safely here. There we go. Get filled up there. There we go. I'm going to let it sit. The opening bell's been a little volatile. We're about a minute into the day. They're coming down though. I got to cut it. Yeah, we're going to start cutting. We're still green on the day. We have 4 left, which is pretty small. Yeah, we're going to cut that way. So we're still up on the day, but not as much now. I might buy this dip, though, if we get a reasonable pullback. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and buy this, I think. Again, this is a challenge account, by the way. This is not something I usually do. I just think we're going to move up and retest highs up there, but I might be wrong. Look at Apple. Look how strong Apple is. The Nvidia might bounce at the previous closing price, so I might just risk it here. Hold on. Let me see if I can add some more. Really getting a chance to. Go. Take some off on this bounce. They'll hold a nice little chunk though. So I can add into this. Again, I'm looking at Apple rise, but Nvidia's falling here. So if Nvidia starts to bounce like it is, there we go. We're gonna take a chunk of this off. Another little piece off here. Nice. There we go. Nice. A little bit more off up here. Bring it down to 5 contracts. Now that we've been pretty profitable. Remember, guys, at 25 minutes we got Michigan sentiment data. Again, this is much riskier than I would trade my normal account. We'll switch to my normal account after 5 minutes, please. We might add a little bit down here. Retrace quickly up there. Go. Another piece off. Another piece off. Sit on this. Work a little bit for me. I think I'm just gonna. We're very flat, honestly, since the opening bell. Take another little piece off here just to protect. In case we don't bounce here, it'll be pretty small position at 3 micros. Apple looks like it wants to bounce. Nvidia is right at the 200 exponential, but sideways, holding at the previous close. So. Bitcoin choppy, yeah. The market's kind of choppy right now. I'm gonna add to this right here where Nvidia might bounce at the previous closing price. Again, if we lose, it's okay. Not a funded account, by the way, guys. So we can take a big risk here, and if we fail, it's $50. It's not okay with it. It's Friday. I think it's possible we get choppy trends. So, all right, we're green. Go. Up around 200 on the day now, but we enough where we could add. That's a big drop just now. Let's see what the. I don't know if that was from anything. Retrace back up pretty fast. The drop from, as long as it's not news related. And again, do not do this in a funded account. It's way riskier. There we go. Yeah, we're up to something right now. Attacking the opening bell, but volatile. All right, we're out. Yeah, tap that 2410 level we talked about earlier right here. I'm out. Look, Apple's breaking under the 200, the previous closing price. The red to green moving, Nvidia is already underneath it, so looks more downward trendish. I don't want to keep being counter trades, but you never know. We're close to all-time highs. How come you trade the first 5 minutes? Because I was trading a Combine account, and so the risk is less on that. The president admin launching pilot program to speed development of flying air taxis. According to the U.S. Department of DOT, is that Department of Treasury? Amazon and Alphabet are under FTC investigation over advertising practices, according to Bloomberg. Here's 24,000 right here. So I might buy 24K based off a potential choppy thesis. if we rebound at 24. 24 big milestone, like whole dollar number. And so if we chop today, it could be a bounce level. We'll see. But the things are looking more bearish for sure right now, I would say. But what I don't want to see is like a test of it and then a retrace and then a break. There we go. All right, so we're over 300 in this one now. We got a bounce. It wasn't a big bounce, but okay. I wonder what they mean by flying air taxi. My mind immediately pivots to the Jetsons, which I hope is true, but I think it's more so like little planes that fly people shorter distances, most likely, or something. All right, guys, 20 minutes. Yeah, maybe helicopters is probably better, more plausible, I think. Shorter distances, more efficient. I think if there was a technology like that, it would be like drone related. All right, there's 24. Let's see if the bounce thesis was right. Could have held longer, but that's all right. All right, guys, remember we got the University of Michigan consumer sentiment data in 19 minutes. Small bounce here, but not anything major. Yeah, consumer sentiment, Michigan consumer sentiment comes out in 18 minutes now. Still bouncing up some. Nvidia rebounding some. All right, so we're bouncing back up. We're at 24.20. The 200 exponential is at 24.30 here. 18 minutes left. 18 minutes left. rejecting a little bit. Nvidia's bouncing all the way back up to 177s. And again, leading into the FOMC meeting as well as ahead of consumer sentiment data, I think it's possible that we're kind of choppy and sideways here. We'll see though. What do you guys think we do today? Do you think we trend up, down, or sideways? Let me know. Adobe dropping fast. Yeah, Adobe had earnings, didn't it? Sideways, Waymo's first. I'm shorting at the moment. They had some downgrades. Yeah, I mean, we're starting to bounce back up. Look at where we bounced at 24,000 level. Nvidia is driving this trend. Again, Nvidia driving this trend. So US oil up or down, no Nvidia but Tesla. Well, no, Nvidia is the one fighting its way back up here. I should have held that long at 24,000 is what I should have done, but it's all good. I think, again, maybe we move choppy until consumer sentiment data, and then maybe we're optimistic at going up to all-time highs after it. I'm not sure. I'm going to buy this here, see if we get a little rip quickly. All right, we got the rip. Hold the rest. Apple's starting to fight its way back up too, so it makes me a little bit more optimistic about the long side. A little bit off here. We're up about 350 on the day on this one. A little bit more off there. Got the rest right there. Tesla. Yeah, gold coming back down. Here's Tesla. Tesla flying up to 380s right now. I do a little bit of both. I scout, but I also take longer term trades. It just depends on what's going on. Apple's still fighting its way back. Apple's still technically red on the day. Tesla flying up. Nvidia is bouncing back up and now technically green, but we kind of have a sideways trend leading into consumer sentiment in 13 minutes. Again, expected consumer sentiment data, if you look at the bottom of the screen, is 58.2. Previous of, what was previously? 58.2. All right, so again, we also have the 1 and 5 year inflation. I could say previous 4.8 for 5 year. Five-year inflation. Versus previous, what was it previously for 5 year? 5 year, it was 3.5% previously. Are you bullish or bearish on this report? You got it in 9 minutes, 10 minutes, sorry. We're now back under the 200 exponential. What about US oil, dude? Again, stop spamming. US oil is up today, probably from uncertainty surrounding the stuff going on, the conflict news. United Health is still ripping up. Remember, here's all-time highs today. That's all-time highs right there. Gold is flat since 2-3 hours ago. Yeah, we don't know for sure though. Oil's volatile. United Health still ripping up, almost at 360. Tesla bouncing up to 380s today. Look at that 2410 level, the top 3 greatest level of all time right here. Look at that. Best levels ever. I would say the market wants stronger consumer sentiment, but it also could vary because lower consumer sentiment would mean more of a push for rate cuts. But I think rate cuts are all but guaranteed at this point in time. So in general, people are fearful of a recession, and if inflation's too low, people fear a recession as well. And if payrolls are weak, people fear recession. The poll is still pretty 50-50 split. We got almost 600 votes, and 49% are fearing inflation more. 51% are fearing a recession more. So we're still pretty split down the middle. Maybe people are going to argue that means stagflation. Go to my actual funded. See how this goes. We're very stagnant here. We got 9 minutes left. And so I'm assuming we chop leading into this report. We're gonna buy this dip right here. We add 1 to this. We get up there to 24.41 for a small little trade, but it's Friday. We gotta be careful today. Oh, we're buying on the wrong account. Ooh. No fun. Yeah, we're up over 400 now on that account, which is good, I guess. But I wanted to buy the dip, and we didn't quite get it. Again, Nvidia and everything's pretty flat. Apple right at the top of the range. I'm going to buy this here again. I get on the right account now, and then again add 1 like our previous trade was. If we get a move down. 7 minutes left. Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna get here. I wanted to add some to this. Maybe I will, but I want to see if we get a pop higher. We got the right at the 200 exponential. Apple looks strong though, and so does Nvidia. That's why I'm buying this, but we could always go the other way. We're gonna take a piece off up there if it lets me. Okay, good. Nice. Got right there. We're right ahead of this data in 6 minutes, so I'm being very cautious with this trade. But I do want to see if we push up a little bit. There we go. Now we're gonna cut it break even there. All right, guys, we have 5 minutes left. NASDAQ big range. Tesla's still flying up. It's almost at 385s now. All right, here we go. I don't know if you guys should stop trading oil or not. Still waiting for Terminator to hit the streets. It's another Christmas song. Yeah, it is. No matter where I go, Christmas song follows me. All right, guys, so we're starting to bounce up. My directions that I've been taking these trades have been correct today. I just haven't held long enough to really... I mean, I'm up in the main account I was trading, but could have been more. All right, the China Commerce Ministry says China's position on TikTok issue is clear and consistent. They will be reviewed in accordance with law. We urge the U.S. to resolve concerns through dialogue. All right, guys, we got 3 minutes left. NASDAQ is making that push towards all-time highs here. If I can get in a dip buy. Too risky. I'm going to buy this, though. We're right ahead of this stuff, so we're going to trade small. We got 2 minutes and 40 seconds left or so, so I don't want to take too large of a position ahead of this, just because we could chop leading into it. But we're close to all-time highs ahead of the Michigan data. Again, hit the live button, exit play button, put it in 2x speed. Add a little bit to this here, maybe. There we go. Flat, now we're green. All right, 2 minutes. Flat. Yeah, we're gonna have to cut it now, which is fine. It's small. Tesla, I don't know about all-time highs for Tesla. What is all-time highs? It's way up there, right? No, all-time highs on Tesla are almost $500 a share. We're nowhere near that. I don't know, Charlie. I have no idea, man. Yeah, we're pretty far away from that. I'll switch back to this account now, but we'll wait. All right, guys, we got less than a minute before the Michigan data comes out. Less than a minute. See if it helps or hurts the market, but 25 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream. We will be covering this as soon as it drops, so bear with me. We'll see. 1 minute. All right, timer's a little bit early. We got 15 seconds left. All right, here we go. Again, it's expected at 58.2. Here's the report. All right, the report is out. It came in lower than expected, 55.4. 55.4 consumer sentiment. 55.4. 1 year inflation expectations were the same. 55.4. 5 year were 3.9 versus 3.5%. Again, 55.4. Much weaker consumer sentiment than expected. 55.4. NASDAQ is up actually from this report. Again, the University of Michigan data is wrong a lot, but look at the big candle that we got from this report. Interesting. Again, 55.4 versus 58.2. Consumer expectations 51.8. All of it was weaker than expected. Current conditions were weaker than expected as well. Inflation expectations for 1 year were the same, 4.8%. 5 year were higher, 3.9%. 5 year longer term inflation expectations raised. This is what we got here on this report. So good for cuts, yes. Weaker consumer sentiment data, so good for cuts, yes. But cuts were already guaranteed, I think, next week. We can look at yields to see how they're responding to this if you really want to. Where's TNX? They're unchanged, really. Again, I don't think this is going to move interest rates. But the market's actually interpreting this as positive so far. Tesla just broke highs again. If we move up to test all-time highs today. It depends on, I wouldn't say it's bullish or bearish. It depends on what you want, right? If you want rate cuts, it's bullish. If you fear economic weakness, it's bearish. But markets are different, man. They do a lot of different stuff. We don't really know how they're going to behave. You know what I mean? So, here, I'll put this data up on screen now, but we don't really know how markets are going to behave here. Yeah, that 50 level, again, holding. That's why I've been talking about that level all day, just because it's relevant, I think. They were close enough to all-time highs, too, where Michigan data is not going to wildly influence things, but maybe. We'll see. We are in a trade in our funded account here. Look at this. Nice. We're going to hold this. 2 contracts left. In this trade, we're up hundreds, but we're kind of fighting our way back from a loss here. So anyway, I just think we're going to test all-time highs if we get this close, but you never know. Sometimes we get big dumps close to this as like fake outs, bull traps. The good thing is we can hold this pretty close to break even now. We just got to get over 24.5, which is a tough level here. And again, we're trading on Top Steps funded account program. No PDT in futures. Get you around the PDT rule. You can get started for $50 a month. Start learning, growing as a day trader. Great way to learn. No PDT rule. If you pass it, you get a 50K funded account, 100K funded account, 150K funded account, depending on which package you choose. If you fail, you only lose the amount you pay for the package. Great way to learn. No PDT in futures. Really useful. Again, they're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased. Can't guarantee anything. I get paid by them, so of course I'm biased, but genuinely useful for traders. Understand all the stuff on screen. I can't guarantee a thing. Not an investment professional. We're still fighting to get over and hold over 2450s. I'm going to hold this to see if the NASDAQ breaks all-time highs, though. There we go. Yep. I even add a little piece to this. The plan is to hold this break even, though. We're already up a lot in the trade. I'm not going to let it turn down. Patient here. Looks to be heavy though. Let's take half off, or a third off just now. Protect it. Struggling too much to break this though. Too many sellers and buyers right here. It's kind of flat. Tesla's slowing down too. I think that's kind of. No. Man, we have gone nowhere in a couple minutes here. Better. Alright, we get the better it is, but alright, so we just cut and we got one left, but again, we're holding this close to break even on the rest. We've already made money, so. Where you get news right away from me. You're welcome. We're so close to all-time highs. I want to stick around waiting for the potential break of it, but I don't trust it enough to. There we go. That's better. Take a big position is what I was going to say. I don't trust it enough to take a big position. Here's all-time highs. We're very close. It's just heavy right now. It looks heavy. We didn't break down though, so that's an optimistic thing. This is taking too long. I'm gonna cut it right here and then maybe buy back in if we see some strength. After the opening bell has been pretty profitable for me. I still think we're probably going to break high, so I'm kind of sticking around waiting for it. But Hey, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button. Do it now. We're edging towards 166,000. We still got 800 plus people here. I know most of you guys are subscribed already, and I appreciate it. But do it now. Why would you watch the stream and not subscribe here? That's all I'm saying. We're heading into FOMC week. You know you want our coverage there. So just do it now so you don't miss the stream. And it's looking more and more likely we're going to break highs. Here we go. All-time highs are right here. Yields are falling. Still at 4.06% roughly. Tesla broke highs again. I appreciate the subs. Quantum stocks running? Yeah. Yeah, maybe we get a pull back to 2450 here, but we're kind of holding that as support now. I want to give it time to maybe test all these highs up here, but it's taking too long. I still think we'll probably break all-time highs on the NASDAQ today, just based on how close we are. We're right there. But one thing that we have sometimes seen is like we go really close to it, and then we just trap everybody. It's less often, but it sometimes does happen. And so again, all-time high literally right here. Could pull back to 41s, 200 exponentials there too. Tesla up over 5% right now. All right. Again, I still think it's likely we're going to break all-time highs today. I might be wildly wrong, though. Don't copy me. Not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Make your own assessment. Trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. Don't copy me. Half the time, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Don't do it. I'll see you guys later. Again, check out Top's episode. Want to help support the channel. No PDT rule. Get you around the PDT rule in futures. Gold is flat. Oil is up today. Probably on overseas stuff. There's a pullback to 41s. But I'm going to get out of here, guys. I'm not going to redirect you to Sunday's stream or for a Monday stream. I'll see you guys next time. Y'all be safe. Have a great weekend. Y'all be good. I'll see you guys next time.